The armed forces of Ukraine have successfully forced the Russian military to flee from the strategically important Snake Island in the Black Sea. Russian troops have withdrawn from Snake Island in the Black Sea after repeated assaults by Ukrainian forces, a move that is a setback for Moscow's forces and possibly undermines their control over vital shipping lanes. The retreat came after sustained Ukrainian attacks, including with powerful, newly arrived Western weapons, made it impossible for Russian forces to hold the island, a small speck of land 20 miles off the coast of Odessa that has played an outsized role throughout the war. Coming only a week after the Kremlin bragged about repelling a Ukrainian attempt to retake the island, the Russian withdrawal appeared to be another instance of Moscow scaling down its military ambitions in the face of Ukrainian resistance. Both the Russians and Ukrainians confirmed the retreat on Thursday, with the Ukrainians saying it had come after a military campaign that kicked off more than a week ago, repeatedly targeting the island and Russian efforts to resupply the garrison there with missile and artillery fire. The last Russian soldiers on the island, which is called Zeminy in Ukrainian, were reported fleeing overnight on 2 speedboats, according to the Ukrainian military's southern command. "There are no more Russians on Zeminy," said Andriy Yermak, the head of the presidential office of Ukraine. "The armed forces conducted an excellent operation." The Russian Defense Ministry, in a statement, sought to cast the retreat as a gesture of goodwill that would not allow Kyiv to speculate on the impending food crisis, since control of the island is vital to securing the shipping lanes in the northwestern corner of the Black Sea. Russia's de facto naval blockade, enforced by its warships and submarines, has prevented Ukraine from exporting most of its pre-war average monthly supply of 5 million tons of grain. And despite the Russian statement, there was no indication that the Kremlin was prepared to allow safe passage of Ukrainian vessels leaving the port of Odessa. As Russian soldiers withdrew from Snake Island, the Crimean branch of Radio Free Europe reported that 5 out of the 7 Russian submarines in the Black Sea Fleet were launched from port in Sevastopol on the Crimean Peninsula. Natalia Humaniuk, a spokeswoman for the Ukrainian military's Southern Command, said on Tuesday that Ukraine had destroyed 3 anti-aircraft missile systems recently installed on the island. She said the most recent attack had left the radar station inoperable, making it impossible to provide assistance to the Russian troops on the island. The fortress island was a target for the Russians since the first day of the invasion, when Russia's Black Sea flagship, the Moskva, arrived to order the surrender of the soldiers manning the tiny Ukrainian outpost. The soldiers' salty refusal became a rallying cry for the nation. The sinking of the Moskva in April, one of Ukraine's most widely celebrated victories of the war, heightened the importance of the island to both Ukraine and Russia. Russia already controls a large stretch of Ukraine's Black Sea coast, plus the Crimean Peninsula and the entire Sea of Azov. Holding Snake Island completed an effective blockade of Odessa, and meant exports of the vast majority of Ukrainian grain were impossible. It also meant the Black Sea coast became vulnerable to attack too, and military experts in Kyiv voiced fears that Russia could install long-range air defenses, such as an S-400 air missile system. A look at the map also shows that Russian control of the island represented a threat to NATO member Romania, both its key port of Constanța and traffic in the mouth of the river Danube. It is not just strategically significant, this area is also rich in reserves of petroleum and gas. This is not just a symbolic victory for Ukraine, it is a strategic success. For Russia, this is both a setback and an embarrassing defeat, but it will not substantially change the course of the war. Russia's focus is on conquering the whole of the eastern Donbass and holding on to other areas of the south that it seized at the start of the war. Snake Island may be in a highly strategic part of the Black Sea and in an ideal spot for installing sophisticated missile systems, but ultimately it is still a very small rock. The key question is whether, by forcing the Russians out, the Ukrainians could consider resuming grain exports to reboot their war-ravaged economy. Without an effective navy, there is little chance of that yet, and Russian warships maintain their dominance over the Black Sea. Russia moved to bring powerful surface-to-air missile systems to the island to support its ground forces. The Russian Navy also started operating further from the Ukrainian coast, out of range of land-based anti-ship missiles. But the danger for Russian ships increased as more powerful Western anti-ship systems began arriving in late May. Around June 20, Ukrainian forces launched their renewed assault on the island, striking a Russian tugboat as it was on a mission to deliver weapons and personnel to the island. The Ukrainians, almost certainly, used newly delivered Harpoon missiles in the attack, according to the British military, which said it was their first demonstrated use, but the fight for the island continued. Satellite images released over the past week showed the results as seen from space, new large scars dotting the 46 acres of rock and grass rising from the sea. On Thursday morning, in the final assault reported by the Ukrainian military, it said it had used missiles and artillery to knock out yet another Russian anti-missile system. Snake Island is covered in fire, explosions are heard, the Ukrainian command said. The last Russians there were seen boarding 2 boats and speeding away. But given its vulnerability, it was unclear whether the Ukrainians would try to restore their own garrison on Snake Island. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you can be alerted to our next episode. We'll see you again soon on Warzone.